mind is a builder, and the world you experience is its creation. What if I told you that the secret to success, the key to rising above mediocrity, lies not in waiting for validation, but in assuming the role of greatness before the world even recognizes it? What if the bridge between who you are and who you long to become is simply an act? An act so convincing that the universe itself bends to your conviction. There is a power that moves unseen beneath the fabric of reality, a force that does not question what is real or what is pretend. It only accepts what you impress upon it. Most people spend their lives wishing, hoping, longing, and yet they remain shackled by their own beliefs of limitation. But those who rise, those who command the stage of life, do not wait for permission. They assume the role. They act as though they are already the best. And by this simple yet profound shift in consciousness, the world conforms to their assumption. But what does it mean to act as though you are the best? Is it arrogance? Is it self-deception? No, it is the most powerful truth one can embrace. It is the knowing that all things are drawn to the one who moves with certainty. It is the understanding that identity is not given, it is claimed. And when you claim it, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. Now listen carefully, for what you are about to hear has the power to transform everything. The greatest illusion ever believed is that you must prove yourself before you can be acknowledged, that you must wait until you have reached a certain level before you carry yourself with confidence. But I tell you, the moment you decide to act as though you are the best, the very forces of creation begin to shape reality around your assumption. You are not deceiving yourself. You are awakening to the truth that life mirrors belief. Consider the actors who step onto the grandest stages. Do they hesitate, unsure of the character they portray, or do they fully embody the role so convincingly that even the audience forgets it is a performance? In the same way, the world is your stage, and your belief is the script. Act as though you are the best, and the audience, the people, the opportunities, the circumstances will respond accordingly. The world is not looking for those who are merely competent. It is drawn to those who move with certainty. Have you not noticed? The moment a person carries themselves as if they are worthy, as if they are already in possession of the prize, the world rushes to validate that assumption. This is not luck, this is law. The unseen law that governs every success story ever written. When a person walks into a room believing they belong, others assume they must indeed belong. When an individual speaks as though their words carry weight, the world listens. It is never the one who hesitates, the one who questions their own worth, who commands attention. No, it is the one who has already decided, the one who acts not as they once were, but as they have chosen to be. You have seen it before, perhaps in a stranger who exudes unshakable confidence, perhaps in a leader who moves through life with the quiet assurance of one who knows they are destined for greatness. They were not waiting for confirmation. They had already accepted their role. And because they accepted it, the world accepted it too. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would change if you, from this very moment, began to act as though you were already the best? If you spoke with the authority of one who knows, if you walked with the presence of one who commands, if you carried yourself as though every room you entered was already prepared to receive you, would people doubt you? Or would they begin to believe it too? Do not misunderstand. This is not pretense. This is power. The power of assuming the role before the world gives you permission. The power of becoming before you are recognized. The power of knowing that reality is not something you wait for, it is something you shape. Perhaps you have been waiting for the right moment, for the right validation, for someone to tell you that you are ready. But the moment you wait, you have already surrendered your power. The greatest among us were never waiting. They moved first, and the world followed. They assumed the role, and the stage was set accordingly. Think of the legends, the pioneers, the ones who seemed to rise from nothing. Did they wait? No, they acted as if they were already the best, long before the world took notice, and in time, the world had no choice but to acknowledge what they had already decided. You see, you are not becoming great, you already are. The only thing left is for you to act like it. For as long as you carry the belief that you are still on the journey, still waiting to arrive, you will remain in a state of becoming. But the moment you step into the knowing, the moment you act as if it is already so, you collapse the distance between who you are and who you desire to be. The moment you stop wishing and start assuming, the moment you stop hoping and start acting, the forces that shape reality will move in your favor. You will find doors opening where there were none before. You will see people responding to you differently. You will feel the shift in your being, the undeniable realization that you have at last claimed what was always yours. And so the question is not whether you can be the best. The question is, will you dare to act as if you already are? Will you move, speak, and carry yourself as one who has already won? Or will you continue waiting for a permission slip that will never come? The choice is yours. But understand this: the moment you decide, the moment you step into the role with full conviction, the world will have no choice but to believe you, because belief is the seed from which all things grow. And once you plant it, once you water it with unwavering faith, the harvest is inevitable. What will you choose? The world has always been a reflection of those who dare to believe in themselves. Those who have risen from obscurity to greatness were never handed a certificate of worthiness. They did not wait for the world to anoint them as the best before they began to act as such. No, they moved in faith, walked in certainty, and embodied the excellence they knew was already theirs. It was not the world that crowned them first. It was their unwavering assumption that commanded the world to respond. When you act as though you are the best, you align yourself with the frequency of success. It is not a question of whether you deserve it. It is not a matter of whether you are ready. It is a matter of assumption, and assumption is the very force that shapes the reality you experience. The moment you adopt the consciousness of being the best, your actions, your words, your very presence begin to transform. You no longer wait for opportunities, you attract them. You no longer ask for permission, you claim what is already yours. People often wonder why some individuals seem to rise effortlessly, while others struggle despite working tirelessly. The difference is not in effort alone, but in the internal state from which they operate. The one who acts as though they are already the best moves with an unshakable knowing. Their energy commands attention. They are not questioning whether success will come. They are certain it already belongs to them. This certainty is what moves mountains. This certainty is what bends the world to their will. But there will be those who hesitate, who shrink back in fear, who ask, what if I am not ready? What if the world does not believe me? And to them the answer is simple. The world will believe you only when you believe yourself. It is not the external that must change first. It is the internal shift that precedes all transformation. You must first be in consciousness before you can be in reality. If you wish to be recognized as the best, you must carry yourself as such, with no hesitation, no self-doubt, no looking back. Doubt is the only enemy. The moment you allow it to seep in, you weaken the foundation of your own assumption. The moment you question whether you are worthy, you give the world permission to question it too. But when you stand firm, when you act with unwavering conviction, when you refuse to entertain anything less than absolute certainty, the world must follow suit. Reality is not something that dictates to you, it is something that responds to you. It molds itself to the image you hold of yourself. Consider the greatest figures in history. Did they wait for recognition before stepping into their power? No, they acted with the knowing that they were already great. They spoke as though their words mattered before anyone was listening. They walked as though they were leaders before anyone followed. They carried themselves as the best before the world confirmed it. And in doing so, they shaped reality itself. They did not seek approval, they decided. And because they decided, the world had no choice but to reflect that decision. The moment you shift your assumption, you shift everything. You do not need external proof to validate your greatness. The proof will come, but only after you have already accepted it internally. You must step into the identity of being the best before the world acknowledges it. You must move as if it is already so, without hesitation, without needing reassurance. This is the secret that so many overlook. They wait for signs, for validation, for some external force to grant them permission. But the ones who truly succeed understand that permission is never given, it is taken. You must be willing to live in the state of the wish fulfilled, to embody the identity of greatness so completely that the world has no choice but to conform. You do not perform for others, you assume for yourself. You do not wait for recognition, you declare your worth by the way you carry yourself, by the way you speak, by the way you command the space around you. You act as though you are the best, and the world adjusts itself accordingly. And yes, there will be moments when doubt tries to creep in, when the old self attempts to reclaim its place, when the mind whispers, "But what if I fail?" But failure is only real if you accept it. The ones who rise are those who refuse to entertain the thought of defeat. They do not consider failure an option. They do not question whether success will come. They have already decided, and because they have decided, the world must align with that decision. Imagine walking into every situation knowing you are the best. Not hoping, not wishing, knowing. Imagine speaking with the authority of one who has already arrived. Imagine carrying yourself with the presence of someone who commands respect, not because they demand it, but because they embody it. Imagine moving through life as if success were inevitable, because it is. The only thing that determines how quickly it arrives is the certainty with which you claim it. And yet so many hesitate. So many look around, waiting for someone else to affirm them, waiting for the world to give them permission to be great. But those who wait will always remain behind. The ones who act, the ones who move, as though they have already won, are the ones who shape history. They are the ones who seem to defy odds, who walk into rooms and change the energy simply by being there. They are the ones who carry the consciousness of success long before the world catches up. And that is the key. The world is always playing catch-up to the ones who assume first. It does not lead, it follows. It does not dictate, it reflects. And so, the only question that remains is this: will you choose to act as though you are the best, or will you wait for the world to grant you what you must claim for yourself? Will you walk in the certainty of your greatness, or will you hesitate, allowing doubt to keep you bound? Everything you desire is already yours, but it cannot manifest until you accept it as your truth. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. You must act as though it is already done. You must carry yourself as if you have already arrived. You must move with the unshakable confidence of one who knows, beyond all doubt, that they are destined for greatness. There is no waiting, there is no becoming. There is only being. The moment you act as if you are the best, you have already won. The moment you assume the role, the world adjusts itself to fit that assumption. And when you understand this, when you fully grasp the power of your own belief, you will realize that success was never something outside of you. It was always within. It was always waiting for you to claim it. So what will you do? Will you hesitate or will you act? Will you wait for confirmation or will you decide? Because the truth is, the moment you truly act as if you are the best, the moment you fully embody that reality, there is no force in existence that can deny you. The world must bow to the one who moves with unwavering conviction. Reality must conform to the one who assumes without question. And when you walk in this knowing, when you move as if you have already won, you will see the evidence unfold before your eyes. Not because you wished for it, not because you hoped for it, but because you knew it was already yours, because you acted as though you were the best, and the universe had no choice but to agree. The moment you decide to act as though you are the best, you step into a realm where doubt has no authority, where circumstances are no longer barriers but mere reflections of your own belief. You cease to be at the mercy of external conditions because you recognize that it is not the world that dictates your worth, it is you. And when you move in the certainty of your greatness, the world bends to accommodate your vision. People who understand this live in a completely different reality. They do not wait for things to change before they embody success. They do not hesitate, wondering if they are good enough. They do not seek approval before stepping into their power. Instead, they act with unwavering confidence, knowing that assumption precedes manifestation. It is not the successful who feel worthy, it is the worthy who become successful. Everything in your world right now is a reflection of what you have accepted as true. If you have been waiting for recognition, for someone to tell you that you are capable, that you are ready, that you are enough, you have already surrendered your power. No one outside of you can grant you the authority you refuse to claim for yourself. The ones who rise are the ones who declare their greatness before the world sees it. They act as though it is already done, and because they do, it becomes their reality. The world has no choice but to conform to the individual who refuses to waver. It cannot deny what has been accepted as truth within. It cannot withhold from the one who already knows they possess it. This is why those who truly succeed move differently. They do not question whether they deserve success. They carry themselves as if it is their natural state. They do not ask whether they are the best. They act as if they already are. And in doing so, they leave no room for the world to argue otherwise. Imagine walking into every situation knowing that you belong. Imagine speaking with the confidence of one who has already won. Imagine moving through life with the energy of someone who commands attention not through force, but through presence. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is stepping into the truth that has always been available to you, but which you may have been too hesitant to claim. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is never a matter of talent alone. It is a matter of certainty. Doubt is the only thing that stands between you and the life you desire. The moment you allow yourself to question whether you are good enough, whether you are capable, whether you are worthy, you have already begun to create a reality where those doubts are confirmed. The world does not test you, it reflects you. It does not decide whether you are ready, you do. The moment you act as though you are the best, reality begins to reorganize itself to support that assumption. And yes, there will be those who question you, those who doubt you, those who challenge your belief in yourself. But their opinions hold no weight unless you allow them to. The ones who change the world are not the ones who seek permission. They are the ones who act as though they have already arrived. They do not entertain the thoughts of those who do not see their vision. They do not slow down to convince others of their worth. They simply embody it, and in time the world must recognize what they have always known. Everything you have ever desired is already within your reach, but it requires you to assume the role before the world validates it. The stage is already set. The opportunity is already waiting, but you must step into the position of one who has already won. You cannot wait for success to come before you embody success. You cannot wait for recognition before you move with confidence. You cannot wait for others to see your greatness before you decide that you are great. There is no force in the universe that can deny you once you have fully accepted your own power. The moment you shift your assumption, the moment you act as though you are the best, without hesitation, the world has no choice but to make room for you. People will look at you differently. Opportunities will come where none existed before. Paths will open that seemed impossible only moments ago. But none of it happens until you take the first step, until you move in faith, until you decide that the time for waiting is over. You must be willing to carry yourself as though you are already at the top. Not because you are pretending, but because you are aligning with the version of yourself that has always been waiting for you to claim it. You must walk with the authority of one who knows their place, not because the world has told you that you belong, but because you have already decided. You must speak as though your words carry weight, not because others have confirmed it, but because you know that they do. Do not wait for the world to recognize you before you act. The recognition will come, but only after you have already stepped into the role. You cannot expect to be treated as the best if you do not first believe it yourself. You cannot demand the world see you differently if you do not carry yourself differently. You cannot wait for success to knock on your door. You must move as if it is already yours, and in doing so, you create the conditions for it to arrive. Those who understand this truth live lives that seem almost effortless. They move with an ease that others cannot understand. They attract opportunities that seem out of reach for most. They create realities that others can only dream of. But it is not because they are lucky. It is not because they were chosen. It is because they chose themselves. They decided long before the world confirmed it. They acted as though they were the best before anyone else believed it. And in doing so, they forced the world to align with their decision. You have that same power. You always have. But the question is, will you use it? Will you decide today that you are the best, or will you continue to wait for the world to tell you what you already know? Will you move with confidence, or will you hesitate, allowing doubt to dictate your path? Will you step into your greatness, or will you let fear keep you bound? The choice is yours, and it has always been yours. But know this, once you decide, once you act as if you are the best, once you embody the reality you desire with complete certainty, there is nothing that can stop you. The world will have no choice but to confirm what you have already claimed. Reality will have no choice but to shift in your favor. Everything you have ever wanted will begin to move toward you, not because you wished for it, not because you hoped for it, but because you knew it was already yours. So act, move, speak, carry yourself with the confidence of one who has already arrived. Let there be no hesitation in your belief, no doubt in your step, no uncertainty in your vision. Assume the role now, not later. Be the best now, not someday. Live in the knowing that your greatness is not something you need to chase, it is something you need to claim. And once you do, the world will have no choice but to follow. The moment you step into the consciousness of being the best, something shifts. It is not the external world that moves first, it is you. Your posture changes, your tone of voice takes on a different cadence. Your energy no longer seeks validation but radiates authority. People begin to take notice, not because they suddenly see something new, but because you've removed the veil of hesitation that once dimmed your presence. You no longer move through life as someone hoping to be recognized. You move as someone who knows recognition is inevitable. And yet many hesitate. They wonder if they are ready. They wait for confirmation before they take action. They tell themselves that once they achieve a certain level of skill, once they receive the right opportunities, once the world finally acknowledges their potential, then they will step into their greatness. But the truth is, that moment never comes unless they decide to create it. The world does not hand you confidence. It does not present you with a certificate of worthiness. It only reflects back to you what you have already accepted within yourself. You must first become in mind before you become in experience. If you see yourself as the best, your actions will align with that assumption. If you believe you are already at the top, your behavior will mirror that belief. You will speak with authority because you are no longer seeking approval. You will move with certainty because you are no longer questioning your path. And because you operate from this higher state of being, the world must adjust itself to match the vibration you emit. Every success story is built on the foundation of assumption. Those who rise to the top do not do so by waiting for permission. They do not timidly ask for a place at the table. They walk in as if they belong. They act as if they are already the best, and in doing so they force the world to recognize them. Their names become synonymous with greatness, not because they were born superior, but because they assumed superiority before anyone else could validate it. This is why two people with the same level of talent, the same opportunities, and the same resources can have vastly different outcomes. One hesitates, waiting for proof, while the other acts with the certainty of someone who has already arrived. One questions whether they are good enough, while the other moves with an unshakable belief that they are. The difference is never in external circumstances. It is in the assumption that governs their reality. You must understand that reality is not fixed. It is fluid, bending and shifting in response to the consciousness you hold. If you walk into a room believing you are insignificant, the world will reflect that belief back to you. But if you enter with the presence of someone who is already at the top, who already commands respect, who already knows they are the best, the world will adjust accordingly. It has no choice but to do so, for it is only ever responding to what you have declared as truth. Those who hesitate, who doubt, who question their own worth, unknowingly reinforce a reality where success remains just out of reach. They place themselves in a waiting position, believing that once the right conditions appear, then they will finally step forward. But they do not realize that it is their very hesitation that delays the arrival of what they seek. The moment they decide, truly decide, to embody greatness, everything changes. Now, the barriers that once seemed immovable begin to dissolve. The opportunities they longed for begin to appear. The respect they sought is given effortlessly, not because they begged for it, but because they assumed it was already theirs. There is no magic formula. There is no secret technique. There is only assumption. Act as if you are the best, and the world will rearrange itself to confirm that assumption. It is a law as certain as gravity, as unbreakable as time itself. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You do not need to plead for recognition. You need only to embody the role, to live as if it is already done, to carry yourself in a way that leaves no room for doubt. And yet so many struggle with this concept. They fear that acting as if they are the best will make them arrogant, that they will be seen as delusional or unrealistic. But arrogance and certainty are not the same. Arrogance is rooted in insecurity, in the need to prove something to others. True confidence, however, requires no external validation. It is quiet, yet undeniable. It does not boast, but it commands. It does not seek permission, but it is respected. The world is drawn to those who know who they are. People follow those who exude certainty. They are captivated by individuals who move with a sense of destiny, who do not question their own value. If you wish to be seen as the best, you must first see yourself that way. If you want others to believe in you, you must first believe in yourself. This is not an empty cliché. It is the very foundation upon which reality is built. Every great leader, every successful entrepreneur, every legendary artist, every historical icon, each of them stepped into their greatness before the world recognized it. They did not wait for validation. They did not seek approval. They decided, and because they decided, the world followed suit. You must decide, not tomorrow, not when conditions seem right, now. You must act as if you have already won, as if success is already written in your story, as if the highest version of yourself is not something you're striving to become, but something you already are. The moment you assume it, you become it. The moment you embody it, the world reflects it. Some will doubt you, some will question you, some will resist the reality you have chosen. But that is of no consequence. The world may take time to adjust, but it will adjust. It must adjust. It cannot deny what has already been assumed with absolute certainty. And as you move through life with this understanding, you will begin to notice something remarkable. Opportunities will come where there were none before. Doors will open that once seemed locked. The right people will be drawn to you. The right circumstances will align. The right resources will appear. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you assumed they would. You do not chase success, you align with it. You do not beg for recognition, you command it by the way you carry yourself, by the way you speak, by the way you exist. The moment you step into the role of being the best, the world has no choice but to recognize you as such. So, will you hesitate or will you act? Will you wait or will you decide? Will you spend your life hoping for success or will you walk as if success is already yours? The choice is yours, and it always has been. The world is waiting not to grant you permission, but to respond to the truth you declare. Declare it now, move as if it is already done, act as if you are the best, and watch as the world bends to confirm what you have always known. When you step into the awareness that you are the best, you awaken a force within you that has always been there, but was buried beneath years of doubt, hesitation, and external conditioning. The world has taught you to wait for permission, to seek validation, to earn your place through the approval of others. But those who wait remain stagnant. Those who hesitate watch as opportunities pass them by. Those who question their own worth are forced to live in a reality where that doubt is continuously reinforced. There is a reason why certain individuals seem to move through life with effortless success. It is not because they are more talented, more intelligent, or more fortunate. It is because they have already accepted within themselves the reality they wish to experience. They do not see themselves as trying to be the best. They see themselves as the best. They do not wait for recognition. They assume it is already given. And because their consciousness aligns with this truth, the world cannot help but reflect it back to them. Think of the most successful people in any field, whether in business, entertainment, sports, or any other domain. They all share one thing in common: an unshakable belief in themselves. They may not have started with the most resources, they may not have had immediate success, but they never wavered in their assumption of greatness. They did not ask whether they were good enough. They decided they were. They did not wonder if they would succeed. They moved as if success was inevitable. And because they embodied this reality before it was visible, it had no choice but to materialize. Your reality is a mirror. It is always reflecting back to you what you assume to be true about yourself. If you believe you are struggling, you will continue to struggle. If you believe you are overlooked, you will continue to be overlooked. If you believe you are just another person trying to make it, the world will treat you as such. But the moment you decide that you are the best, that you are the one who stands above the rest, that you are already aligned with the highest version of yourself, reality must shift to confirm that belief. This is not about arrogance. It is not about proving anything to others. It is about stepping into the full expression of who you were always meant to be. The greatest tragedy is not failure. It is living beneath your potential because you were too afraid to claim it. It is settling for a lesser version of yourself because you doubted your own power. But there is no need to settle, no need to wait, no need to question. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is your own willingness to accept it as true. The mind will resist. It will tell you that you are being unrealistic, that you must first accomplish something before you can see yourself as the best. But this is the great illusion. The accomplishments do not come first, the belief does. The recognition does not come first, the self-concept does. The world does not shape your identity, you do. And once you have accepted that identity without doubt, the world must conform to it. There is a moment in every great success story where the individual makes a decision. Not a hesitant wish, not a half-hearted attempt, a true decision. They decide that they will no longer wait. They decide that they will no longer question. They decide that they are already who they wish to be. And from that moment forward, their actions, their speech, their energy, all of it aligns with their new self-concept. They no longer approach opportunities as someone hoping to succeed. They move as someone who knows success is already theirs. And this is where the world begins to take notice. People become drawn to them. Opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. The resistance that once surrounded them begins to fade, not because the external world changed first, but because they changed within. And when you change within, when you assume a new reality with unwavering conviction, the external world cannot help but adjust to match your new state of being. But most people never reach this point. They hesitate, they allow fear to creep in, they let the opinions of others dictate their self-worth, they convince themselves that they are not yet ready, that they need more experience, more credentials, more proof, and in doing so they delay their own success indefinitely. The world is filled with talented individuals who never reach their full potential, not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. There is no force outside of you that can determine your greatness. There is no external authority that can grant you permission to succeed. The power has always been in your hands. The only question is whether you will claim it, whether you will step into it fully, without hesitation, without doubt, without waiting for someone else to tell you that you are ready. Because the truth is, you have always been ready. You were born ready. The only thing left is for you to act accordingly. You do not need to prove yourself to anyone. You do not need to seek validation from the world. You need only to accept the truth that has always been within you. That you are the best. That you are already aligned with greatness. That you are not becoming something greater, but simply revealing what was there all along. And the moment you accept this, the moment you embody it without hesitation, the world will respond in ways you never imagined. People will wonder how you changed so quickly. They will ask what you did, what strategy you used, what steps you took. But they will not understand that it was never about external effort. It was always about internal alignment. The shift did not happen outside of you. It happened within. And once it did, everything else followed effortlessly. You do not need to wait another day, another hour, another moment. You do not need to accomplish anything more before you decide. You need only to step into the role now, to act as if it is already done, to move through the world with the quiet confidence of one who knows their place at the top. And once you do, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what you have already claimed. The world bends to the will of those who assume authority over their own reality. It does not favor the hesitant, nor does it wait for the unsure to make up their minds. It responds only to certainty, to the unshakable conviction of those who have already claimed their place. There are no exceptions to this law. Every great achievement, every monumental success, every individual who has risen above the ordinary has done so not because they were chosen, but because they chose themselves. They did not wait for the world to recognize them. They recognized themselves first. And yet most people live as if they are waiting for something outside of them to grant them permission. They wait for validation, for proof, for some undeniable sign that they are ready. But the only sign you will ever receive is the one you create for yourself. If you believe you are ready, you are. If you believe you are already the best, you are. If you move as if you have already won, the world will rearrange itself to confirm that belief. This is not fantasy. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law of assumption, the undeniable truth that what you accept as reality in your mind must be reflected in your external world. But the mind, conditioned by years of limitation, resists. It tells you that you must first achieve before you believe. It convinces you that worthiness is something to be earned rather than something to be claimed. And so, people struggle. They work tirelessly, hoping that one day their efforts will finally result in the confidence they seek. But they have it backward. Confidence does not come after success. Confidence precedes it. The moment you decide you are the best, you begin to operate at a higher level. You begin to carry yourself differently, to speak differently, to approach every opportunity as if it were already yours. And because you have assumed this truth, the world must conform to it. There is no power in hesitation. There is no reward for waiting. The moment you question your own greatness, you create resistance. The moment you look to the outside world for validation, you place your power in the hands of others. But the greatest do not seek approval. They do not ask whether they are good enough. They decide that they are, and they move accordingly. This is why some succeed while others remain stuck. It is never about talent alone. It is never about luck. It is always about the assumption that governs your reality. Every person who has risen to greatness has done so because they dared to assume it was already theirs. They did not ask for permission. They did not wait for circumstances to be perfect. They simply stepped into the role as if they had always belonged there, and in doing so they forced the world to acknowledge them. They did not beg for opportunities. They carried themselves as if opportunities were their birthright. They did not seek recognition. They embodied greatness so completely that recognition became inevitable. If you wish to rise above the ordinary, you must first assume that you already have. If you wish to be seen as the best, you must first see yourself that way. The world does not determine your worth, you do. The world does not decide whether you are successful, you do. The world does not grant you permission to be great, you must claim it for yourself. And once you do, once you accept this truth without hesitation, everything begins to shift. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable begin to fade. The obstacles that once stood in your way begin to dissolve. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. And when you change, the world has no choice but to follow. This is not arrogance. This is not ego. This is the natural order of reality. Those who believe they are the best rise to the top. Those who doubt themselves remain in the shadows. The difference is not in ability, but in assumption. If you assume that you are limited, your actions will reflect that assumption and the world will confirm it. But if you assume that you are unstoppable, if you move through life with the certainty of one who has already won, the world must confirm that as well. The greatest mistake people make is believing that success is something they must earn before they can claim it. But success is not earned. It is assumed. Those who operate from the consciousness of success attract success. Those who operate from the consciousness of struggle attract struggle. There is no mystery in this. It is simply the way reality works. The outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. Change your assumption, and you change your reality. You must begin now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more prepared, not when circumstances seem more favorable. Now. You must step into the role as if it is already yours. You must carry yourself with the certainty of one who knows their place at the top. And in doing so, you will find that the very world you once struggled against begins to lie in your favor. The opportunities you once chased will begin to seek you out. The recognition you once longed for will be given freely. The success you once thought was distant will become your present reality. Not because you waited for it, but because you assumed it was already yours. People will not understand at first. They will question how you changed so quickly, how you suddenly became magnetic to success. But they will not realize that the change happened long before they could see it. The shift was internal. The moment you decided that you were already at the top, The world had no choice but to acknowledge it. And so the choice is yours. Will you continue to wait, hoping for some external sign that you are ready, or will you decide now, in this moment, that you are already everything you have ever desired to be? Will you continue to live as someone striving to be great, or will you step into the awareness that you already are? There is no force outside of you that can dictate your reality. The only power that exists is the power within you, the power to assume, to decide, to embody the truth you wish to experience. And the moment you accept this, the moment you act as if it is already done, the world will rearrange itself in your favor. You must move differently, you must speak differently, you must carry yourself as if you have already won. And as you do, you will notice something remarkable. The hesitation that once held you back will disappear. The fear that once gripped you will fade. The resistance that once seemed so powerful will dissolve. Because none of it was ever real. It was only a reflection of the doubt you held within. And now that the doubt is gone, nothing can stand in your way. So act now, move now, assume now. The world is waiting not to grant you permission, but to reflect back to you the truth you have declared. You are the best. Not because the world has told you so, but because you have told the world. And once you accept this without question, the world will have no choice but to bow to your certainty. The truth has always been simple. What you assume to be true about yourself becomes your reality. You are not waiting for greatness to be bestowed upon you. You are not hoping for recognition to one day arrive. You are the source, the architect, the creator of your own destiny. The moment you act as if you are the best, the world bends to reflect that truth. Doubt has no place in the mind of one who has already arrived. Hesitation only delays what is already yours. Step forward with absolute certainty, not as someone striving, but as someone who knows they have already won. Walk with the energy of the highest version of yourself, and you will watch as opportunities, success, and admiration follow naturally. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You need only to decide, and in that decision, everything you desire will unfold before you.